Where would you go to if a woman loses her ability to menstruate? You could go to the ovaries. First place I would go to is up here. I go to the pituitary. I put them on a female reproductive formula, which has pituitary herbs in it, and also strengthen the ovaries and uterus. I would do the female reproductive for sure. And if that wasn't enough to bring you into balance, which it generally is, then I would go after the pituitary with a glandular, you know. What about no menstrual cycles on raw diets? Been over 5 years or me and think I should have cycles, right? Clean eating does not mean no more cycles, correct? What formula would kick my cycles back in? Well, I feel, and I've seen a lot of fruitarian women high up on raw food diets, when they have their menses, they just spot. But there is some spotting. I have heard raw foodists and their menses go away. I don't know. I have to tell you that would probably be a pituitary weakness, and when you kick your endocrine glands up a little bit, you might see your periods coming back, and that would be probably a good thing. I don't know. I mean, what we understand about monthly cycles isn't always true. Remember, the more toxic a woman is lymphatically, the more bleeding she'll have, the more odorous. When she's producing too much estrogen, then she'll bleed too much too. Well, estrogen is the acid side of chemistry, and this is why she can burn from that and get hurt from that. But with that said, I would do this. I would try the endocrine gland formula. The female reproductive formula, might try that, some pituitary herbs in there, and see if you can inspire your menses back again. If not, I just probably wouldn't worry about it, just live my life in a healthy way. But make sure your thyroid, your pituitary, all your glands are in a healthy state to determine that. I think it's healthy for a woman to have some menses. Clean uteruses is going to yield very minimal menses, which is just what you want. And you want to have a clean uterus because that's the house. But that also must reflect a clean body, because mamas that are going to have babies want to breastfeed, but you want to breastfeed with quality breast milk. And if you have a high acidic toxic body, your milk's going to be acidic, and you'll notice a lot of these infants aren't handling this acidic breast milk. They're upchucking like they're doing on these crappy formulas. So the big problem with conception, 9 times out of 10, is always the pituitary. These are women that are estrogenic typically. These are women that have excessive bleeding and menses, this sort of thing. Their menses is irregular, and therefore they abort easy. These are the sort of things that the pituitary is key. I would, if I'm having difficulty conceiving, I'd be on the female reproductive formula for a couple of months. And I would also be on a pituitary glandular for maybe 1 bottle, and see if I can't pick up with the female reproductive and let that bring my pituitary in order, with understanding that the transverse colon is always linked to the head. Then I would be cleaning up my bowels, knowing that there's a relationship. So all these things are totally symbiotic related, and electrically and magnetically related. So by working on the pituitary is one thing, but you must work on the GI tract too. When I started the fast on May 24th, I was due for my monthly cycle, but it never came, and I have not came since April. Well, no, I wouldn't be concerned. Your body's shifting itself into cleaning itself, and I wouldn't be concerned with that at all. As you move yourself out of this, you'll see that come back and everything's cool. But, you know, fruitarian women, I've talked about this before, and I've only known a few, but fruitarian women tend to only spot when they menstruate. Remember, menstruation, in my opinion, is directly related to toxemia of the uterus. You know, this is a house for a little soul coming in there to rest for a while and to grow a human body. And so God cleans that chamber a lot. And called bleeding is how you clean, remember? Alkaline cleaning. And so important. But as you get cleaner, the less need for heavy menses. And as everything comes into balance and toxemia is removed out of the body, or acidosis, then everything doesn't need to have the dramatics that you thought it did. Some of the things we assume is no more. No more body odor, no more stools sticking to the bowel walls, you know, no more heavy bleeding. All of these things change. If you really want to know if you have a pituitary weakness, look at your transverse bowel in your eyes, and it'll show right there, hooked right into the transverse bowel. So, and this, you have vitiligo. So you know, when someone has pituitary, you almost know for sure, healers, that it is a transverse colon issue as well. I've known several fruitarian women in my life, and they generally, as they clean the uterine wall, they generally just spot. And that's the issue. The issue is cleansing. And the uterus is a little home for a little embryo for a while, you know, so this home has to be cleaned, so God cleans it. And of course, acid strips, so estrogen is acidic. So it strips and cleans the uterus. That's why when you have too much estrogen, it starts to overburn the uterus and you have some serious problems. Add that to lymph stagnation and you got double burning. So this is where the most of the fibroids and endometriosis and things like this come, especially if you see ovarian cysts come and go. Always remember, ladies, that the pituitary controls menses. If you stop menstruating in your 30s or early 40s, you got a pituitary problem. Fix that and you'll probably kick up your menses again until you're really done the right way. But what I've observed is that the bleeding cycle of a woman is definitely hooked directly into the toxicity level of their bodies. And the less toxic they become, the less bleeding that they observe. The problem with being on estrogen or any other type of hormone or steroid is that, again, you lose your glands. And to think that a gland will wake up on its own without proper diets and energetics and chemistry coming in is ridiculous. These glands just keep getting weaker and weaker and going downhill unless you wake them up again. And I love how medical doctors say, yeah, your glands will sleep, but they'll wake up healthier. I've never seen that of you. I think that is another stupid thing like autoimmune diseases.